Thinking about pictures to represent Christ and some of the consequences of it, think about what Islam does to those who use pictures to represent the Lord. Islam countries have conquered image-using countries. We can think about in history, at the beginning of the rise of Islam, Muhammad preached against idolatry, both of pagans and Christians. He met a lot of resistance, so he began to use force, and before too many years went by, well, Islam had conquered many countries where people used images to represent the Lord. The Middle East was largely conquered by Muhammad, and then across North Africa, where the church had been thriving and had been using pictures to represent the Lord in that time, thinking it was all right, evidently justifying it to themselves. Then came Islam, and one by one took over those countries and did not allow conversion to Christianity, and images were not allowed among the Islamic people. Islam went on around, started up into Spain. It was stopped there when it finally got to France. They came around then from the other side and attacked Constantinople. The Christian people began to realize that this may be a judgment of God against their images, and so there was the rise of the iconoclastic resistance. The iconoclastic controversy developed during that time. Islam does not tolerate any use of religious images to represent the Lord. Now, in the United States today, and in the Western world where the Christian church has prevailed, we're seeing the influx of Islamic people. This is happening in Europe, for instance in Germany and in France, in other European countries. It is now happening in the British Isles, where there's a large influx of Islamic people, and as they come in more and more, they demand that the laws be their laws be tolerated, and then that their Islamic laws be enforced, and one thing after another. Somebody's used the word critical force, or critical mass, and it appears that they're getting to be a critical mass of population of Islamic people, and as they take over, they begin to enforce their laws. Islam is coming into the United States in the same way, and increasingly we see them demanding their privileges for their law, that their law be respected. So we're facing a new situation in this country, something that's not happened before, but at the same time we have reached the point in this country of the United States where we use and justify the use of pictures to represent Christ. They were not done, it was not done that way in the time of the Reformation. The Reformation was a time of getting away from the Catholic use of images to represent the Lord. But now that has been forgotten, and we're back to using the images. So we are now in danger of coming under enforced Islamic law in this country, and that demands that the church reconsider its use of pictures to represent Christ and turn away from using them and return to the way of worship that was done in the early church, which was governed by the use of the Bible, that we likewise turn away from the use of images and return to the way of the Reformation that got rid of the images, and that we return to worshiping the Lord in spirit and in truth, like the early church did, like the Reformed church did.